Penn State becoming the first Big Ten school to ever play at Jordan-Hare Stadium this weekend. In attendance, Penn State legend O.J. McDuffie, who set several single-season and career receiving records during his time with the Nittany Lions, also named MVP in the '92 Fiesta Bowl. How pumped is he to watch his team try to spoil the Tigers' weekend? Here's more from McDuffie with our Josh Pate at our Verbo vacation home.
Welcome back. Late Kick on the road with Verbo continues our trip into Central Alabama in a beautiful setting here. And what better way to celebrate that in a big game week with Penn State in town to face Auburn than to bring in an awesome guest, O.J. McDuffie, joining us not outside, not sideline, not in a press suite, but right here in a comfortable living room. It feels like home, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It does feel like home. It's a beautiful, beautiful home for one, but man, what a great opportunity to be able to come out here and enjoy it. Central Alabama, my first time not playing in Central Alabama. It's going to be a fun time.
You know, I was actually driving over here this morning, listening to some of the pregame coverage on the radio, and I called myself knowing something about Auburn football. Even I didn't know they've never played a Big Ten team in Jordan-Hare Stadium. So, I mean, you and I were talking before. Let's talk about it now. It's a huge trip for Penn State. It's huge for recruiting. It's a huge experience, but it's kind of an unprecedented trip, too.
It really is, man. You know, a lot of times guys and teams don't get out of conference very much, especially when you're going to play a big conference team like Auburn in the SEC. So Penn State, you know, they play some games to get warmed up and it gets into that Big Ten schedule. But this game right here, it's one of the bigger ones. You know, they came to see us last year. It's nice for us to come back down here this year. And as soon as this was on the schedule, the family and I decided to make this trip for sure.
I was up there at the whiteout game last year. I grew up in the South, so I'm a kid from the South. And, you know, we know about Auburn. We know about Florida. We know about LSU and Alabama. We've always heard about the whiteout at Penn State. Right. And I finally got to experience it last year. And I remember talking to a lot of Auburn fans who went up there and talking to a lot of Penn State fans who planned on coming down here. They said exactly what you said. I can't wait for that return trip because they want to check out this environment.
Yeah, absolutely, because, you know, you see so much greatness and so much good stuff coming out of SEC and SEC football, and we know there's a lot of tradition within that conference, and especially when it comes to football. So it is really nice for us to be able to come down here and see how the other half live, you know. We had to show everybody a good time up north last year, and I understand that you had a good time. That's important, and, of course, the people down here are returning the favor.
It's really interesting with the way the sport is shifting. The Big Ten in 3 or 4 years won't look like the Big Ten has ever looked for any of us. The SEC in a couple of years will cease to look like it looked like when even I grew up. So for someone who played at Penn State, and you played for legendary head coach Joe Paterno, it almost makes it feel like a bygone era when you look at the structure of the sport when you played versus the structure now. What do you feel when you watch those changes?
Yeah, it's really, really strange. You know, growing up in Big Ten country, for me, being from Ohio, it was, you know, always just those 10 teams. And, you know, grew up in Ohio State, Michigan, and all those guys. And then as soon as I left, you know, Penn State joins the Big Ten in football. We were already there in other sports. So it's really, really different, really strange to see it. But I love the growth. And I love that we're part of the, you know, what everybody wants to be a part of in terms of these schools that want to join the Big Ten. A lot of schools are, a lot of conferences are losing guys, losing schools. So the fact that we're one of the top two schools, I mean, it means a lot that, you know, to see that structure. Plus, it means a lot for me to be a Florida kid now, you know, being able to see our team down south.
O.J. McDuffie joining us here. I want to kind of continue on the vein of where Penn State is right now. There's this all or nothing mentality sometimes, even within our industry in college football, where if you're not in the playoff, you just get cast to the wayside. Right. And that's not reality. The reality is there's a tier 2, there's a tier 3, there's some really solid programs who just haven't quite taken that leap into playoff contention. And that's where I view Penn State. I'll be interested to get your view of the program, but also, you know, what are the things or maybe one big thing that you look at as needing to develop with Penn State?
Yeah, you know, it's funny you say that because we've had some really top-ranked classes, you know, but then we end up not ranked very high. So it wasn't meshing for us. So I think no matter what, we keep putting these top-ranked classes together. We need to start finishing the top rankings and give ourselves a chance to get into the playoffs, which is going to obviously expand, and we'll get probably better opportunity. But for us, man, it's time for us to get over the hump. You know, we haven't been relevant in a long time. We've had, you know, a team every 10 years or so, but we need to get up there and stay consistent. That's what I'm looking forward to with Coach Franklin. I mean, we've got a lot of young guys now, a lot of freshmen that are playing right now, and I see that trend and those guys coming in and making a big impact on what we do moving forward.
It feels like he just keeps chipping away. Yeah. They don't land a #1 class, but they're highly rated.
Right.
They don't win a national championship, but they put solid classes, and they were on a string of pretty good seasons. And then 2020 happened. And you can either call it excuse making. I don't. I just call it what it is. I think that COVID year kind of disproportionately impacted some programs. And I felt like Penn State got hit kind of hard with it, and they had coordinator turnover. And now it only just today feels like it's getting back on track. With that in mind, how big is this game? How much would a win mean this weekend?
Yeah, this game is huge. It really is, man. You know, you start stacking wins. You know, you think about what we've done so far, open up against Purdue, win against Ohio U, but you got to start stacking wins against quality opponents. And Auburn's one of those quality opponents that you want to make a statement with. Win no matter how. Just get out of here with a win and go home. It doesn't matter how it happens, man, but we have to show up. And we have to show the Big Ten can compete with the SEC. In order for us to get some love at the end of the year, you know, when the voting comes out and, you know, guys getting a chance to get into the playoffs. So it makes it huge for us.
You talk about the Big Ten overall. What's your perception of where the conference is right now? Because we came in last year, and Ohio State was an overwhelming odds-on favorite to win it, and they didn't. And so Michigan takes it for the first time in a while. We come in this year. Ohio State again, the odds-on favorite to win it, and yet they looked human in week 1 against Notre Dame. Penn State goes on the road, gets a hard-fought win. Michigan looks really good but untested so far. How do you feel about the Big Ten this year?
I think it's strong. A lot of conferences are top-heavy, but I think it's strong. And I think it's going to be a lot of competition, you know, within the conference moving forward. But, you know, Ohio State's always been the cream of the crop. You know, I mean, growing up an Ohio State Buckeye fan, you know, it was tough to, you know, like I said, not be a part of playing against those guys in the shoe. But we're always striving to be like Ohio State. Always, and like you said, Michigan every once in a while, kind of same, you know, predicament we've had. They're good every 5, 6, 7 years, but Ohio State's still that team that everybody's striving to be like. So I think it's strong. I mean, you said Ohio State. Ohio State, they're on cruise control until it's time to go. When it's go time, they're ready.
You played for a head coach that everyone knows everything about, Joe Paterno. It used to be, once upon a time, either you had guys who had been there forever, or if you did hire a new head coach, they had quote unquote paid their dues, right, and they had been head coaches before because you had to cut your teeth at the lower level to get these big jobs. Today, Ryan Day's first head coaching job is Ohio State. Kirby Smart's first head coaching job is Georgia. Lincoln Riley, his first head coaching job was Oklahoma. Does it surprise you that programs of that stature are so willing to turn the keys over to someone who, by our definition, would be unproven as a head coach?
Yeah, but you know what? They've been a part of so many great programs, you know, going up. They know the ropes, and they've been ready to be a head coach and waiting for the right opportunity. And of course, those jobs are some of the best opportunities you can get. So I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I see it all the way up into even to the pro game where first time head coaches are getting these opportunities. And I think that's been very successful for so many programs that every big time school is willing to take those chances.
So O.J. McDuffie is joining us. We're here in this Verbo Vacation House on Lake Martin. And folks, if you haven't been there before, I would encourage you to visit and hit up a Verbo vacation property while you do it. You played in some big games when you were at Penn State. I'm really interested. Like we said, this is the first time Penn State's ever come here. It's the first time a Big Ten team's ever come here. What are some of the venues that you wish you could have played in that you didn't get playing in the college game?
Man, there were a bunch. You know, it was great for me, you know, when I did play at Penn State where we were independent. So I got to play out at SC. I played at Texas. I played at Alabama. Played at Notre Dame. Played at UM. All those games on the road were great. But to get down here in this country, man, I'm looking forward to Auburn. Because when I was just driving through, you know, it reminds me so much of State College, of college town. You know, great atmosphere. Everything's got school colors on it. So I think this would be a fun place to play, man. And, you know, anytime you get on the road, a lot of people, a hostile environment. I mean, that's what it's all about. And if you can get out there with a win, I mean, that's really what it's all about.
It's interesting you mentioned the correlation between State College and Auburn, because I heard that last year. Yeah. And I think I'll hear it again from your folks coming down here this week. Maybe a little bit easier interstate access at Auburn.
A lot easier.
You played a long time in the NFL. You played in college. There's a lot of overlap. Like, a lot of people watch both games, but there's some people who are more passionate about college than the NFL. Maybe if there's someone watching and they just watch the pro game, but they don't really take part in the college game, why do you love it? Like, what is unique about it?
Yeah, the college game is, you know, the pro game, all those guys are pros. In the college game, you got a lot of guys trying to become pros, and you can tell by, by the way they play, their heart, their passion. They're playing for the university. Like we talk about Penn State, we don't have a name on the back. We're playing for the name on the front, and that's what it's really all about, man. It's most of the guys that play at Penn State, even a lot of guys that play at Auburn, won't go pro. So what are you playing for? What's your motivation? Your motivation is to win for your university and make your university proud. And I think that, you want to watch pure football, it's in the college game, and that's what people can take away from that.
All right, so we're looking ahead now. We got about 24 hours until kickoff. What are you most looking forward to from your experience and then on the field? A couple of different things.
Yeah, number one, I'm looking forward to tailgating because, you got to see who does it better. We tailgate our butts off at Penn State, and I know they get down here in the South and Auburn. So I'm looking forward to that part of it all. But I just want to see the pageantry. Everybody that comes out, I want to see the colors. I think it's an orange out game or something like that they're planning on. So, counter our white out. I understand. I get it. So I want to see how their fans come out and how they treat us foreigners, you know what I mean? And that'll be interesting as well. But just when kickoff comes, I want to just see a different atmosphere. I've been to stands a few times for Penn State games, but most of it's at Penn State. So it's going to be good to be on the road and see how the other teams do it, especially a team like this. I
assume I know this answer, but just in case I don't, just in case I'm wrong, do you have a pick on this game for us?
I do have a pick. The blue and white team. I'm picking the blue and white team, wearing all white tomorrow. They should have a pretty decent day tomorrow.
O.J. McDuffie, a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
So make sure to catch it this weekend. Penn State ranked 22nd right now at Auburn, Saturday, 3:30 Eastern on CBS, or you can stream it on Paramount+.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.